about. Now, staying on trade, South Korea is hosting an APEC trade ministers meeting in southern resort island of Jeju. And Lin Lin is enjoying all the sun of Jeju Island, leading our coverage there as well, of course. Lin, how effective is this going to be for APEC in the face of America First, a trade agenda?
Good morning, Sherry. I think that is one of the key questions to come out of this two-day APEC trade ministers meeting. As analysts have been saying, particularly in the last 6 weeks, we have now seen a structural pivot in terms of the global trade order that the United States was a champion for post-World War II. This focus and doubling down on bilateral versus multilateral cooperation and seemingly using tariffs as a mechanism to get countries to the table. For many of these APEC economies, they are very reliant on exports to grow their economy, and they count the US as one of their top trading partners. So how are they going to be able to find that common ground and navigate this moving forward? Now, in terms of developments that we are watching out of these 2 days, the USTR Ambassador Jamieson Greer, he is here and he will also be attending the meetings. We know that he's scheduled to meet with South Korea's Trade Minister An Duk-gun on the sidelines. Get a chance to exclusively speak with South Korea's Trade Minister tomorrow as well.
I got to say, Lynn, I am just so jealous. The weather must be just gorgeous there. But anyway, look, I'm that's sort of beside the point, right? But where you are and what's happening behind you is the way I think about it. It's like sort of a massive, giant power retreat of these guys, right, who can literally decide the fate of millions of people around the world. Who is meeting who, and what are the key sort of bilaterals that you're watching out for?
Well, Marty, I was just listening to some of the comments that David Einhorn was making just then, and I think that's very interesting and maybe a fascinating dynamic to talk about in the context of the APEC trade ministers meeting. As I said, a lot of these economies count the US at least in the top 3 in terms of trading partners, but particularly when we're talking about Southeast Asian countries, when we're talking about the North Asian countries and the Antipodes, we know that a lot of these economies also rely on the US when we talk about that security arrangement and security guarantees. Even still, though, if we look at Japan, for example, we've been able to confirm that its top trade minister, Yoji Muto, he will not be attending this meeting. We don't know why he's not attending, but it does mean that he misses out on the opportunity now to meet with Ambassador Jamieson Greer as well. And then, of course, when we look at some of the rhetoric we've heard from Japan in recent times, whether it's about its US Treasury holdings or whether it's about the Japanese Prime Minister talking about the fact that they're not going to sign a bad deal with the US and that ultimately they need that auto tariff to come down as well. We're seeing signs perhaps of the fact that some of these countries are recognizing that perhaps they have more bargaining power than they first thought on April the 2nd. And even when we talk about the trade truce between US and China, well, the feeling that the fact that they doubled down on retaliation post so-called Liberation Day, it has really off because you've got now this 90-day truce and the fact that two sides are now going to be talking going forward and Beijing claiming that they have achieved mutual respect, which of course is a core narrative victory, particularly for President Xi Jinping's domestic audience. Sherry.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there. Looking at how China played this, at least it won this 90-day ceasefire by playing hardball. Does that inspire other countries to do something similar as well? But of course, we'll be talking throughout the show. Thank you so much, Lin, for that.